Hello, welcome. Richard is currently just a little bit away after coming back from playing a game, so I'm going to be taking over for a little bit while we get inside. And I don't know what's happening. There we go. That's what's happening there. Disco was a little bit funny with cameras, but boom, we're back. So Richard will be joining very soon. But hello and welcome to UKVersus episode 11. It was just going to be Oceania deckless. But then we got all this big information yesterday, and it's going to take us so long to go through absolutely everything. But I'm going to leave it up to Richard whether we start with the 8 deck lists or if we just try to go through all this information we've got, and then we'll go for the deck lists quickly towards the end. Hello, Andrew. Yes, I'm doing quite well. Got to play locals yesterday, testing out a new deck. Managed to get second, so I'm quite happy with that. Just one second.
Just come from playing our webcam locals. Shout out to Sean and Patriot Games. That was a lot of fun. And I was just grabbing a drink. So as you were saying, I think we'll start with the Oceania ones because I want to skip over those guys and sort of leave them as a last thought because they deserve like the spotlight and the limelight and everything. And then there's one or two announcements we need to go over.
Oh, we've got so much. I'm just looking at OBS and it's like this is the biggest OBS like chain I've had. I have no idea what I'm going to do. All I don't even know what most of this is anymore.
And hello, Andrew and Jack. Just very briefly, the locals I just played. I was playing Air Giro. I was playing Storm of Blades, Specialized Sound Waves kind of combo. It is the most fun I've had with the deck in a long time. I ended up going. I won the first two, and I was a game up in the finals. And obviously, I then just agreed an ID with Mr. Hardiman. There's your
shout out.
Yeah, your shout out for the week. So I agreed an ID. So I've come to the podcast. He could eat dinner. So I hopefully Brett will teach me how to set up my camera and stuff, and I want to try and do a little deck profile on it for the channel. So
yeah, I'm happy to go through that with you. That's not different, but yeah, okay. So because we've got so much to go through, we're just gonna go through a quick initial thoughts. Time to take down the meme that was there. I love this meme and it's been so well received. Yeah. There we go. My mouse is acting up a little bit, so I do apologise if it does take me a bit longer to be as smooth as usual. But let's start. So we haven't had the official rankings come out, so these will be just a mixture of the bottom four, the third and fourth, and then first and second that we know. But so let's start off with Brendan Roth, who was playing Shoto 2. So before we go into the actual breakdown, let's go into the first thing that everyone would point out. The first thing I pointed out, and I messaged immediately going, "Is this right?" That's a 4-card sideboard. Now, when I brought it up on the Discords, people, oh yeah, it just happens. It's an admin error. When they were going over the EU deck list, there was cards missing there, and it was like, okay, cool. And then Sunday rolls around, and Levi gets on the stream going, we were going to stream Mirio versus Shoto, but they've been given a game loss in game 1 because they've only got a 4-card sideboard. And I was like, oh, it wasn't an error. That was the guy. He legitimately just did a 4-card sideboard.
Yeah, that's weird how he made it top cuts and nobody had noticed that yet.
Yeah.
So obviously it was a smaller event. It was what
38-ish.
Like yeah. I think there was quite a lot of new players, which is really good. Like that's really cool that a lot of players came out. There's not too much. So like observant student, I think is a weird one. We don't see too often in lists these days. Broken Psyche is like a big one. Obviously, that's sort of a very popular card at the moment, or a sort of hyped card at the moment, with good reason, right? It's like you get all these people throw these big old bombs, and it just says, "No, I'm taking two. No, I'm taking two." So yeah, it's a really good one, and definitely a card people should be taking and bearing in mind for their deck building. I think
Yeah, I
one of the
think
better ones from the set five.
feeling cute's in there. It does not think. I think observing students in there just because of it can help you in if you try to go in for a kill turn. But it's a very good deadlock threat when you look at this range package that we are
Yeah.
running.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's bad at all. It's
Yeah,
just a card you don't see all the time, right?
it's also a decent low
Um,
block, and
yeah,
this.
and that might have been part of it, like because as we'll see, once again, Mirio was all around.
Yeah, and even being a game down, they did manage to take the second game back.
Mm,
This was a 2-1, so going first against Mirio, they were able to take the win. They were able to. We didn't get to see the game, but from what we're saying, it sounded like it was a close game. Look at his deck; it can just kind of kill you out of nowhere. And Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken, great to see the fact that these guys only had the set for a week and a half, but they were able to rally around and get some very powerful cards for their decks.
yeah, he's got the two Broken Psyche, he's got the three Krakens. I think that's the only set five stuff there, unless they
Yeah.
go mad.
The
But
only
yeah,
thing I would possibly have put in here, just as a personal preference, maybe to fill up the side, would have been Blazing Icicle, just to go.
I know you're a big
Yeah,
fan of that card. I mean, I'd have just been playing full Frozen Slash. Like, I think they're quite bonkers in Toto too. I'm not a huge freezer burn guy. Like, it's fine.
I mean Freezer Burn with Ice Glide, where Ice Glide can do some fun stuff, but I guess it's in there for first villain encounter because you can play Freezer Burn, give your next check plus one, and give it +1/+1. Ready
mm,
it up with Freezer Burn. Then when you play your next tech, you
yeah,
can just
I
do it
mean,
again.
it's obviously a reasonable card. It's just like I'm
Yeah,
just not a huge fan of it, but it does have that low block. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
No,
nothing too crazy you'd expect to see from a
no.
Shoto too. So
I'm liking the mixture of high and lows. No real mids. It's a very decent deck, and I can see why it was able to get to the top 8.
yeah, just being able to tape and then ice storm block people is good, right? So
So next we've got Zach Johnson coming in the well, I don't want to say bottom 4, but the top 8.
mhm.
Coming and playing on Nomu on Evil, which is a very interesting one because we've had Nomu Earth that got in the webcam. Nomu Evil is a very interesting situation.
Yeah. Box full of babies is an interesting one. Like, you don't see many assets in these
No,
five handers. Like double blade slash is an odd one. Like again, stuff you just don't necessarily see. I mean, I love Toad to Dust. I mean, obviously tongue whip. It's like because you not just play four because it kills people.
I
Um,
think Piercing Needle should definitely be a 4 here because it's what a 5 mid for 7,
mm,
which isn't great in Nomu, but it's still a lot to deal with.
yeah, you got slashing whirlwind as like a big old hitter.
The one
Um,
of Bloodrending with the combo ability is really good.
yeah, I mean, like slashing whirlwind is an 18 damage attack if you've got the momentum.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I mean that's going to kill people out of nowhere. I don't see it coming. Again, like the three of feels a little too many. Again, obviously these guys are top 80 a regional, so I don't want to kind of
Yeah, no.
you know
It
second guess them at anything. But it's just like I guess my own preferences here, right? I mean, obviously he's playing a lot of the weapon stuff. I'm not a huge believer in weapon packages, but I do obviously love tongue whip. I'm a big fan of turn to dust. Mercer Swash is always going to be good at
it
Nomu.
does feel like it has a very good surprise factor to it. And
Mm,
this is a very big deck looking at like the amount of attacks in
yeah.
there.
Well, we got
But
what 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. We got 20 attacks, so it's probably about 60 card deck, I'm
I
guessing,
would
roughly.
love to know why and when they changed into Mei Hatsume.
Yeah, and I guess that's why there's two box full of babies in the main.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's just like when do you want to swap into May? Because they've both got five handers, right?
yeah.
I guess like in maybe long grindy games where no, like maybe like a Momo or something where
Where
you've got
you're
time
where
and you think
you're not
okay,
yeah
Yeah, just like swapping into May, and obviously then May is like one of those sort of build up ahead of Steam decks, right? It's like if May can last till turn 5, 6, 7, she's really really good. It's just she struggles getting there, and if she knows she in a matchup where she's got that time, then maybe May is the right answer.
Yeah, in a matchup where you're not going to be dying quickly and you're not going to be killing them quickly. So if you're in a grindy game, like you say, it's the perfect opportunity to go into May and go, cool, I'll become a 9-hander by the time we get this game going, and we'll see what we do here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm loving to see a more diverse top cut coming out of these events, and that's absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, we say direct. Like, obviously, Nomu's doing the thing at the moment. Obviously, Earth is what we were seeing on before, but now topped on evil.
Yeah,
So
evil. Moving over to a regular, and the one that got me finally on the board is Richard Osley on Minata 2 Water.
Yeah, so I was almost expecting more of this, right? Obviously, of what we'd heard from like people like Zane and other people in the Oceania community is that they're all about these kind of really slow, grindy, misery you out of the game kind of decks. And like this is how big is this deck? Like
I mean,
6,
looking at
9, 13, 17, 21, 25, 31 attacks.
So it's a huge deck. It's got Manifest. All out battle is absolutely great.
Yeah.
It's very defensive as well. You got the low blows. You got the ice storms. You got the chiffle uppercuts.
Yeah,
lots of breaker.
It's just a deck that looks like it's going to misery you out of the game. It's got 4 faith shields. It looks like a Nathan deck, right? It's just trying to defend and not die. 4 war clings, and so I could imagine why it did well into the meta of lots of Mirios, right? You've got 4 tapes, you've got 4 faith shields, you've got 4 wall clings, you've got 4 ice storms, you've got 3 triple uppercuts,
4 faith shields, 4 wall
clings,
you've
got 2 low blows. You've got Minetta's face. So good luck, boys.
You've got to get through what I'm doing, and we don't mean to rush this, but this is just. It's a standard Minata 2 list with a bit of updating.
One thing I do like is Vast Hybrid in here, right? It's not necessarily something you'd, what it does, like +1 damage to everything as a form, or the thing from Momentum to get the plus to checks, because Mineta isn't generally trying to string out, right? But it's a way of snapping momentum.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's really clever.
That's what you do, isn't it? You, as Mineta, you play it, you put it in momentum. Then on defense, you go, cool, my checks block gets +1, and then I'm going to make your speed 0 and draw a card. Because then if they've got speed boost, you go, oh, cool, I can still block this.
Exactly. It's just a nice way on this symbol to sort of just snap momentum, right? Which it generally didn't necessarily have too much of.
This is a very defensible deck that just goes, you're playing my game, and it's going to be long and grindy, and I'm going to kill you.
Eventually, I'm going to chip you out through 3 and 4 damage throws, and then maybe at some point I'll ice storm you to death or something. It's again just Minetta's game plan, and I'm glad I've never had to play against Minetta 2.
I've played a couple, and they're just so you have to really concentrate. The surprising one for me, which because I actually watched the first game of the top 8, was in the let's go with 5th place. I've accidentally put stack back on. There we go. Is Sean Yang on Jiro Good, who lost to I was going to a bit phone, an Amajiki list. It was a hell of a game, and it could have gone either way. They were playing for such a long time. But this is something we haven't really experienced too much over here yet.
Yeah.
In the meta. But Staff Strike, the future is now Jiro.
Yeah, so it's trying to do that whole Star Strike kind of Blast Futures now Jiro, the whole combo thing. It was early on when Class Union came out, it was those 2 boogeymen, right? It was the All Might 4 combo and the Jiro Cannon Blast Futures Now combo, right? And I don't think the Futures Now stuff has had as much of an impact as people expected. I don't know why, because it feels very good. But yeah, obviously it would do very well.
Yeah, I can understand how conditional it is, especially when you're Joe and you're like, okay, I need Futures Now, at least 2 foundations, one of which then has to be a weapon and Staff Strike, which means you're essentially relying on at least 4 of your 6 cards being this, so you kind of got to sculpt for it whilst also keeping yourself alive.
Yeah, but obviously worked. Got to
Yeah,
that top 8 finish. Really, really good,
I'm
and got
liking
got
the
Adam some more cheap points.
I'm liking the blade expertise in here. That's not one
Yeah,
that
it's
we don't
just
really see. Good weapon,
yeah, just give him some more weapon foundations, right? Because
and
it's all in on doing those combos.
of course we've got nice try. Nice try going to be a 4 in any symbol that can play it.
uh, yes and no. Like I go up and down on nice try. I think it feels weird in this deck actually because you're not necessarily doing crazy stuff committing wise. I guess actually no, it is. It's got Cannon Blast, right? It's
Yeah.
good with Cannon Blast, and I think that's what you want to maximize nice try and make it actually pop. You want something where you're wanting to commit your foundations. Either you're a hard string deck, in which case sometimes you might try and you're a deck that might overextend a bit, and so nice try kind of gets you over that, or you're a thing like a Midoriya 2 that's wanting to just commit foundations for an effect, or you're playing Cannon Blast, or you're playing like a Rescue Completed, or something on those lines that says, okay, this is almost like making your nice try is making those effects free. Um, so and hello,
Sorry, yeah, just give me 1 second.
sorry. So yeah, I think it was obviously hyped hugely to begin with, and I think that's died down a lot. I think he's Mr. Narono keeps showing up the meme on the main Discord of nice try equals the zero diff Mineta one that gives -1 speed once a turn, which it kind of is, right? Because this is commit for -2. That is just an enhance for -1, which you can also then commit for another. So
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at the sideboard, and this is the most anti-Mirio sideboard I've seen in these foundations. Lost in Thought to make sure you've got a block modifier, evading copy to reset. You're also obvious to make sure that the attacks can't kill you, and Taiki Fanatic to make sure that you're not going to be being killed by foundations. This
yeah,
is
and Teriyaki and Lost in Thought, right, are good anti. They're anti-cyborg cards, right? So
yeah.
they're stuff you bring in to deal with what your opponent's bringing in to deal with you, right? So they're your answers to their answers. So quite often you'll see in these lists like Lost in Thoughts and Taiyakis in the main deck. Obviously, Sean did not choose to do that in this instance, but quite often you'll see in these lists those in the main deck as like whatever answers you might have, even in game one, I've got answers to.
This is the kind of deck that I'd be happy seeing at least like 3 2 check foundations and just trying to go for that massive build, because you're running
Yeah,
14 attacks and then like well over 30 foundations. You're in a very good position to score. I am more than likely checking grey on everything.
yeah. You want to build out till 10 until you're ready, and sculpt that hand and say, right, now I'm ready to go. And now I've got my Staff Strike, I've got my Cannon Blast, and I've got my Futures now. Let's go. Like
Exactly. Right, so let's move on to the deck that beat this one in top 4, which is Jason Kai on Amajiki Chaos.
yeah,
The first thing I'll say
earning, I
about.
believe, Matt a lot of points.
Yeah, Matt got a fair few points off this. Chicken Kick did a lot of work in this deck, and I'm really happy to see
Yeah.
that.
So I believe this list was given to him by a certain Mr. Cardwell.
So it might be what was given to him, or it was part of Deck Doctors.
I don't think it was Deck Doctor. I think he just reached out to him for a list, and Tam helped him out. So if you want to go check out Tam's channel, he's got like
Yeah.
a deck breakdown of this to go into more details. But so obviously he's really high on Broken Psyche, hence why you see 4, and obviously on a character that's got 20 health, having these things to keep you alive when momentum's basically free, really really good.
There's an interesting number one of like with the Surge, Levitate, and Training Agency.
Yeah, so again, like Surge is really good to give your 1.3 million like EX.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't always come up, but it's a nice thing to have.
Um,
The
it,
trading agency trainees is a nice sort of anti-breaker thing, but isn't always useful. Levitate can sometimes again, it's the nice. You wouldn't want to play lots of them, but I think they are nice one-offs.
in a
Um,
momentum
like
focused deck like this, it's great to see them pulling in. Uh,
Like Force Quirk is effectively a fifth copy of Vast Hybrid.
Blitz Rush seems absolutely insane in Amajiki.
Yeah, I love it. I love the Blitz Rush one of it.
Yeah.
Says it's there isn't. I don't think there's huge amounts of outside of basic trading like Deadlock threat on board. Um, I'm trying to think any of these others have Deadlock, and I don't necessarily think so. But then they charge into Deadlock and you just Blitz Rush him to death. Like I was watching a game where he was playing against on the monthly Monday Mayhem against an overhaul who was just an Earth overhaul says, I'm just going way into Deadlock and I don't care. And then he said, okay, I'll play a Blitz Rush, commit 8 for me, please. And just died.
No, that's fair. But yeah, no. Great to see Amajiki in there. Great to see Matt on the board with me. The attack lineup seems kind of like what we expect from seeing Amajiki. The League of Villains for the Council and the Manifest are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, again, I think League of Villains is again. This is, I think, a lot of people look at Amajiki, or at least I certainly was, as quite an aggressive deck, and I don't think, I think
this is a bit more mid range. Yeah,
he isn't. He's more a mid range defensive, and I'll kill you eventually deck because I'll just chip away and get momentum, and eventually I'm going to kill you.
You can see that with the 4 Struggle and Studies. This deck wants to stay alive.
Yeah, yeah. You've got, I think there's certainly tweaks you can make, right, depending on how you feel about it. Like,
yeah,
there's like 4 Vast Hybrids 2-0 grabs. You can go 3 or 3
the
on
one
those.
The one Ice Storm is the one thing I'd change. I want that to break a 2 on everything.
Yeah, it's not a face up momentum, so I don't think you get a lot of slots to play around with that.
No, but
you've got Claw Stoppers as breaker ones, right? I know Tam wasn't very high on the Plus Ultra one, whatever it's called, the Plus Ultra low block, low attack for Amajiki.
Oh, low block, low attack.
Yeah, there's an Amajiki attack in Plus Ultra 5.
The claw, the clam claw, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
He wasn't a huge fan of it. Like I quite like it, at least on reading it. But obviously, he's played it more, so
it might also be what they can get available because you got to remember the Australian players only got this week, so they might not have had a chance to get hold of Plus Ultra cards. We did see.
Again, he's got the 2 Manifest. He's got the 3 Chicken Kicks. He's got the 4 Vast Hybrid. So this is a full of set 4 deck.
Definitely been able to pull the set 5 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's move on to Jacob Pearson, who was doing quite well in the event. I believe they're on Mirio. Yeah, they're on Mirio good.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the one that had...
We had 2 Mirios right in the top 8. So again, Mirio making another really good showing. So I think it's one of those things go forward. Everyone needs to be prepared for him in their sideboard or main board. Like, he's going to be around. Everyone likes him.
Yeah, this is the one... So the other Mirio had to face Amajiki in the top 4, and Jacob ended up going up against Overhaul, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like the one of Phantom Threat. We don't see that much there, but other than that,
Phantom Threat is the secret rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, that might have been availability. I would suspect that Jacob would probably play more if he had more. Like, I don't know whether 1-for-all was his option, what he would have picked. Maybe that should have been a Phantom Threat and he couldn't get a second one or something. I don't know. Again, Phantom Punch, it might not have been meant to be a 4 if he might want to play for my Phantom Threats. I don't know. I just obviously see most Mirror lists I see have like at least 2 to 3 of those cards. So again, that might have been an availability thing.
I like this list. I think it's a tight 60 cards, I believe. A-Camp Fix, keeping Ares safe, absolute boss cards for defense. Manly Passionate Guy, much better now that One With Nature has been kicked out.
Yeah.
Lemillion of
the
big...
interesting one is Effortless Movement. Right?
No, the interesting one for me is 4 of the Lemillion of the big 3 when it's unique.
No. So if you look at Luke Quincy's, our UK Luke's list from the online one, he was playing 4 because it's so good in this character. Like like if you're playing a race ahead on Void, generally you play 4 Spooky because you don't care. you always want to see one, and you just use the other three as blocks, or you cycle them, you pitch them to Texas or whatever in this. Like you don't care. You just always wanted to see that in your turn one build. So that makes sense. The effortless movement was, and like things he's playing stuff like effortless movement, first impressions that we're not seeing in these lists, which are cool. So again, they're both extra low blocks in the list. Effortless movement is if you've played two or more cards with the same name, it gets +1 speed and +1 damage.
I like first impressions in this list because you're always expecting your attacks to get blocked. You don't mind giving them a bit of value if they block your first attack, and it may only be a partial, but your next one's getting a lot. It's like you can let this one through and give my next one and hope you've got the block zone, or you can take this one and then try and block the next one.
Like playing a phantom threat and giving it +3 damage, and it's like you never almost want to block a phantom threat because it's just going into momentum.
Yeah.
Or giving a setup strike where the next one's coming in for load, things like this.
I like a couple. I like the changes, but it's just generally a generically good Mirio list. I like the one of Eri, and I would love to know when that came in. And the sideboard's very interesting too with the throws and the calorie counters. But because if you do come across a very defensive deck,
the throws might be something like an Eraserhead just to try and beat through him. Like his throws always going to get to the H1, right?
Calorie counter is a perfect counter to defensive decks because having a 5 low for coming at you for 8 is just great.
Yeah.
Again, we do apologize to the players if they are watching this on very unlikely 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning for those guys. But
I hope they'll be watching on YouTube.
They will be able to watch on YouTube, and we do want to get to the the other big information that's come out. But we're looking at Ouyong Choi. I do hope I pronounced that correctly. On Overhaul Earth, this is our second place. And
so actually, finally getting me on the board for this event. And if I'm right, the finalists were a couple, right?
Yes. So
which is awesome. Having
Addy,
a couple make the way.
Addy and Young were a couple, and so they know each other's decks really well, and you could tell that from the way that they played. And if you haven't seen the final, go back and watch that final. They went so deep into Deadlock, and Addy was able to pull it back because they spent a turn where they just went pulling the punches. Over Foundation, go kill me or you're dying next turn.
Yeah, pulling the punches does say you're not allowed to Deadlock. Again, I don't see much in terms of
Cooperation offer,
innovation in this list.
Cooperation offer was an absolute boss in this deck, and I do need to work it into my decks now. Energy Suction
offer is just very good.
I do not see enough decks running Energy Suction, and I absolutely love Energy Suction. Especially when you're playing it on life, you can just go Energy Suction into Rejuvenate Smash. It's like haha. But
he's playing the 4 bad guy roundups. There's a bit of momentum hate in the main. A couple of red guards.
There's no main boarded Faith Shields.
Yeah. Again, I guess he just wants all his main boarded stuff to do things, right? Faith Shields aren't always necessarily the best thing. But having said that, it just feels like too much in the format. There's no
throws in this deck. There's no main board snack time. Snack time is a sideboard as a 2 of.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. He's not. Overhaul is card hungry, right? And doesn't necessarily always have those cards for snack time. So
I'm more thinking for the Deadlock stuff because people are going to Deadlock more and more. And
and also he might just be bringing them in specifically for the Deadlocks, but he's got Prehensile Tail, which is one heck of a Deadlock threat. So hello. Linoco.
Hello, Guile. I do really love this deck, and I do hope we get to see a lot more Overhaul, Evil, and Earth getting played. Monstrous Fusion is a great one here. Monstrous Frosty in there.
Yeah, I think he's playing a bit more of Overhaul's kit than other decks have, right? They tend to more lean towards just sort of generic good Earth stuff, where he's playing a bit more Overhaul's kit, which is really cool. One of Twisty Surroundings, gotta love that. Just a good Overhaul, Earth good stuff.
Exactly. So we'll quickly go through Addy's deck, and then we'll move on to the big stuff that came out yesterday. God knows where we're going to start because it was absolutely huge. So Addy Morales on Mirio Good. I had they were really. I got to chat to these guys on the TTS channel in the main Discord on this Sunday morning because they were looking to test their matchup.
Hmm.
Got to have a nice chat with them, but 3 of Phantom Threat is absolutely insane. BMI Buster, Rejuvenating Smash. This is a very aggressive deck. The Capture Evildoers.
Yeah, and again, obviously, they've managed to get all their stuff. They've got the 3 rejuves, they've got the 3 phantom threats. So, um, playing those 2 porno punches as those deadlock threats is like my favorite one. But also, again, playing that first impressions, um, is a nice little sort of
Yeah.
tech they've come up with here. Only the 2 captures, which is interesting. Like I think Mirio just really, because it doesn't sort of check hack or anything like that, really wants those being able to just format and clear it.
Raiding the Villain's Hideout was a great card, came clutch. And I am so happy to see this because I brought this up last week. 4 unrivaled combatants. It is
Mhm.
so good in Mirio. It does so much work. And
Yeah,
you flip it for speed, change the zone again. So it's like, cool. You think you're going to block it. Boom, you're not blocking it because it's going back. It can go back to mid. It can go to high. It can
yeah,
make
and it's a button you don't necessarily always need to press, right? I mean, sure, you can always use it to get extra triggers out of your million big three and stuff like that. But like it's a button you could say, well, I've got this here. Your tape's now dead, right? You're not going to tape it because if you do, then I've just got
yeah.
I might have got back to just do it again.
It's a great way for dealing with stuff like that. When it's erase the head goes, I'll make it mid. You go, cool. I'll make it low again. Like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a thing. It is. Then you go, yeah, that is a thing.
yeah,
But
no. Draw 2, attack. Name escapes me. Valiance. So we get that
there is
cast.
rejuvenating smash. So that's
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
just redoing's a bit more awkward, right? You can only ever play it second.
I guess well you can only ever play Valiant Assault as second to get the combo.
Well, no, balance where you can obviously play further into the chain, right? To give you that cards, to give you
But
that check.
you can draw the 2 defensively with rejuvenating smash. So that's pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Uh,
could definitely see like maybe cutting one of the jabs and maybe one of the Texases because they always see Texas coming. You don't really need that
but
much.
again, we're going with the BMI Buster route. I do love BMI
Oh,
Buster.
the
I
build
definitely
to
sort of
draw 2 when you've got capture evildoers is just absolutely insane. I'm loving to see Manly Passionate Guy coming back, making people having to second guess what they're attacking with and what people are holding.
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, the time of male bonding feels a bit over, right? I think people are just doing too much damage on their attacks that people can't just sit there and say, okay, I'll take 8 and I
See,
get to build my combo
I
thing.
think this is perfect. It's kind of like the overhaul experimenting with quirk situation.
Hmm.
If you hit me, I'll gain 2. If you don't, if I hit you, I'll gain 1. If I don't hit you, I'll gain 2. It's a simple case of if you attack and make it so I can, and I block it, I gain a foundation. If you make it so I can't block it, I gain a foundation. Either way,
Yeah,
next turn I have more another foundation.
but yeah, Manly Passionate's definitely come back in favour now.
Yeah.
With Mal.
I haven't had a chance to update the league table because of how manic things have been. So
Okay,
I can,
I can run through it certainly.
but yeah, you go for that.
Um, so let me just quickly over the link. So in terms of the results from OCE,
I got 11 points, I
so
believe,
yeah, we have Brett got 11 points. Again, just that big old 4 points for Mineta getting the top
and then
cuts.
7 points for the
And
round pick.
7 points for his bonus. I mean, who likes Mineta? They're the worst sort of people. Um, and then Matt got a big old 13 from Amajiki.
Yeah,
That big old 8 point bonus. I only managed to scrape a 6, which
well,
just from a finalist from
you didn't.
Overhaul.
Yeah,
But
you didn't get any
can't really
bonuses.
sneeze that.
You didn't get any bonuses for that one.
Chris got 8 from Mirio winning. Because that was Mirio. Mirio
Yeah,
didn't win online, did he? So,
no, Eraserhead won online. You got the
Eraserhead,
points for that.
of course, Eraserhead
And
won.
then
So
Adam got what were
20 points from this event. Adam, made out like a bandit.
netted
So yeah,
11. Netted
4 from Nomu,
yeah,
4 from Jiro, and then 12
12
from
from Shoto.
Shoto.
Shoto
So
being
in
an absolute
terms of the
boss.
overalls, we have Brett on 11, we have Matt on 13, Chris on 20, and at the top we've got a tie between me and Adam on 34. Um, so yeah, all to play for at Gen Con.
Right, so where do you want to go first? We've got previews, we've got Gen Con promos,
Oh,
the new
where to
card
start?
stuff, challenge. We've got the new challenger stuff, new IPs.
I guess the first place to start is the rebranding, right? Because that's sort of the main driver for everything, I think.
Okay,
So I think everyone should know by now what has happened and all the information. So we don't necessarily need to go into too much detail of the what's, and we can just sort of give our opinions, you know.
yeah,
So obviously the main thing is Jasco Games is no more. We now are UVS Games. Not got to be through that at all,
no,
and it makes perfect sense, you know. Jasco being Jason Company, Jason Hawonsky, like Lohan and Paul, they want to make their own. Want to make this their own company. They want to make this their own game,
it
their own thing. And I totally get that, and I totally zero beef, and that's totally cool. Like call it UVS Games, brilliant.
it might
Don't
not even
no
be
beef with the
that
name.
complicated. It might just be a case of if you're searching MHACCG and you know it as Universus a game and you see a website that says Jasco, you might be like, oh, maybe it's a different website and you'll keep searching. But if you
Yeah,
see UVS Games, you're like, oh, if you see Universus Games or UVS Games, you go, that's where I need to go.
yeah, exactly. It just makes perfect sense to make all these things, and a lot of what they've done, a lot of the better things of what they've done is make things more consistent, make things more make sense, right? So obviously a lot of this was launched on the new website that came out sort of before all the main announcements. And the thing is, a lot of people said the new website, fantastic. The old website was a bit trash, right? It wasn't great. This new website, really good. Not a beef with it. Everything's where you expect it to be. It's a modern website. It does what it should do. Um, Looks good. Great. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that stuff, but
Yeah,
for me,
I
those
like the
things are a big
new.
positive.
I like the new website. I'm not the best. I'm not the greatest fan of like that kind of bright, vibrant orange constantly in my face.
Mm.
But I do like the more clean, more
It's just more user friendly.
minimalist logo as well. But let's go on to the card backs before we go into like the other redesigns.
Okay,
Uh,
what do
what?
you think?
Now you see, this is where it comes into where you join the game. So I was talking to Barry Everson, and I've seen other people mention it. The old guard, the people that were playing during UFS, really
Hmm.
like their card back. And then you're gonna have the last 2 years of Universus players that I've only really ever interacted with the Universus card back. And
Hmm.
you can understand why people are kind of like get attached to the card back that they know. I I can understand what they're going for with this swirling, merging universes because it's different IPs, different stuff coming together. But I am just not a fan of it. To me, it kind of screams indie game developer that's churning out uh, like modern kind of FNAF horror games like Rainbow Friends stuff like that. It doesn't read to me like uh, trading card game stuff. And as other people point out, we've gone through two back rebrandings in the last 3 years. Whereas you look at more established games like Pokemon, MTG, Yu-Gi-Oh, they've never had to change their card backs because we never see them. There's literally no point to them.
So, my thoughts are not positive. uh, so, ignoring the graphics for now, I think changing the card backs is a big hit for the casual player, right? Not everyone plays in sleeves. Your casual tabletop player, they'll just shuffle up cards. They'll get battered to crap. They don't care. They're just playing. And now you've got two different card backs, and they're gonna
Well,
bounce
three,
off that,
but yeah.
and they're gonna. Well, again, we're ignoring the old world. Old world have already sucked it up going into from UFS to the Universes back. Well, the blue one, they don't care. If
but
if they're still playing, they don't care anymore, right?
we have got the backwards compatible cards like
Yeah,
Valiant sort of stuff. But yeah,
sure. But like, I'm talking about either. players that are just got into it from MHA or players that are just getting into it now.
Yeah.
So, for example, I did a demo event on Sunday, just gone. It was great. We had like 8 or 9 people come down, and I got to demo the game to them, and they loved it, and they had a lot of fun. And I'm hopefully going to run a local for it on Saturday. And they really enjoyed the game. They really got into it. I don't know how many of those are going to be able to come back, but we've certainly got the startings of a little community going in my hometown, which is really really good for me and the boy. And I think this is going to be a hard sell to them because not all of them want to play with sleeves. Like they're not necessarily like sleeves make a lot of sense when you come from that card game background, right? You're used to just playing everything in sleeves. You're not used to playing with dual lands in no sleeves on the old like 90s videos type thing. It's like everyone you play in sleeves naturally. Tabletop players, like just casual players, they don't necessarily do that because they're just playing with their cards. And now you're telling them they've effectively got to play with cards even to play on their tabletop. I think that is a feels bad. And I think people are going to bounce off the game as a result, and I don't think that's a good thing.
The biggest...
there's a very good reason Magic has not changed their card back in 30 years, despite it having that stupid deck master thing that means nothing on it, right? Despite the fact that maybe they wanted to put like a 6th color in at some point, something like that. No, they fixed into that one back for 30 years because they know how that affects people, and this feels like a wrong move. And I would just kept it consistent, and sure, maybe that current, lightningy blue card back doesn't fit with the new branding. Doesn't matter. That does not matter, right? That card back is just the card back of your game that nobody cares about until you make that card back difficult for them. And you're making it difficult for them by putting this new graphics, which to me looks like the graphics you get from a card game that was a failed Kickstarter, to be blunt.
That's a brutal thing. The biggest thing...
I mean, it sounds a bit brutal, but I understand they wanting to go for this clean, modern look, right? And I think there's almost an attempt here, and again, I was kind of reading things into stuff, maybe of setting themselves apart from the other traditional CCGs. And they don't want to look like Magic, or they don't want to look like Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of not having the black frame and having it full. And I wonder whether that's going to be a huge misstep for bringing new players in and for bouncing the newer players out. I hope not. I hope everyone... again, from my perspective, I don't like it. I don't overly care. Right? It's not going to stop me playing because I'll just play with sleeves, get on with my life. Doesn't matter.
The main issue that I have with that, and it's what someone brought up to me when I was at the provisional yesterday, is not all sleeves are truly opaque. There are cheaper sleeves, and not everybody wants to go for Dragon Shield, where you can kind of just see through to the back.
Just sort of looking at my current sleeves I'm playing with, these look fully opaque, right? I don't think I could tell at all. But certainly there are sleeves that are not, especially the lighter colour ones.
I've got some red ones that I've currently got lock in. Didn't even notice to it, and then someone pointed out, "Oh, you can still see the card backs." I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah." So next set, I'd have to completely change up my sleeves, and because I couldn't run the ones but I can.
It feels like a change that was unnecessary, and if they'd have left it, it didn't matter for the whole rebranding, and it means that people don't bounce off things. It feels like it was fixing a problem that didn't exist.
Card backs these card backs do not matter. Like I said, they go in sleeves. We don't look at the back of them. Changing the front, changing that is fine because that's what we're looking at. But for the casual player, it makes sense to have the backs. For Cube and other sealed play, it's great to have consistent backs. But look at what was it? To keep going back to it, but Magic did a rebranding a few years back where they changed the design of the front of the cards, kept the back because it's also a branding issue. If you're out at a con, if you're out at a games table, and you see people playing a card game, if they're not wearing sleeves, you can look at the back and you can instantly recognize what they're playing. But
there is going to be a non-zero amount of people that say, I don't like playing with sleeves, I don't like having to buy them. And they're going to like, oh, what, my new cards, I now shuffle them in and they look different, and how can I do that? And no, I'm not playing this game anymore.
But yeah, but
Right,
we've
the amount of people that do that is not going to be zero.
but
And
at the same
I feel
time,
like that is the amount of people
yeah,
that didn't need to happen, right? I feel like they could have done this whole rebranding,
without
everything,
touching the back.
kept the card back, and it didn't matter. And the fact that the card back doesn't necessarily match the rest of their branding, everyone would have understood. Everyone would have said, yes, that makes perfect sense because you want to keep the same card back for consistency, and maybe it doesn't meet the rest of the branding, but it makes sense the card back's the same. Cool. And would have moved on with their lives.
Yeah.
And this feels like you've made it look like a big swirling anus.
If this was in the works, then hindsight being what it is, the black and white lightning with the black, white, and blue lightning should have just been the card back with no Universus logo. And they
No, you want the logo on it, right? I mean, that's fine. You want the logo on the card. That makes perfect sense.
I was saying that if this was already in the works, because then you got it a bit more consistent. I can understand.
They're not changing the name of the game
No.
or the game system, right? If they were changing the name of the game system from Universus to Punchatron 5000 or whatever, right?
Which happened with UFS. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Then sure, it makes sense to change that because they've changed the name of the game. Okay, I could see that a bit more. They still both say Universes.
Yeah.
Even if that current thing didn't match the branding of their UFS games and everything else and like the pack stuff, no one would care because it meant the backs were consistent. And all they've had to done as part of those articles and say, sure, we haven't made these card backs be consistent with our branding because we wanted to make it better for you players so that you can shuffle them. You don't have to use sleeves. There's no chance of people playing non-opaque sleeves and trying to pull a fast one, or even not doing it, accidentally, not realizing and getting caught in it, and a judge kind of maybe giving them a game loss in the middle of a really big tournament because they're playing non-opaque sleeves they didn't think about and they weren't trying to edge case it or whatever, and it's like, sorry, this counts as marked cards. You get a game loss, you have to get new sleeves, and that's going to be a huge feelback.
Yeah, so I
think it was fixing a problem that didn't exist, and that's my beef.
I mean, my last thoughts on this will just be a case of, I understand that it affects new players. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's the back of a card. I don't care. I'm not going to be looking at it. I think these.
It's not the effect on me that worries me.
Yeah, it's the effect on
everyone else.
New players. But let's move on to the other big changes. Looking at, let's have a look at just the overview, and then let's change over to just looking at if my mouse was to actually play on. So let's look at a bit more of a close-up view of what's actually changed.
Okay.
My mouse does not want to. So looking at.
As part of the rebranding, we've got new card layouts, right?
Yeah.
Again, I can't say I'm a huge fan. Not too bothered, but I would lean towards negative than positive, but it's not like a huge negative.
These remind me of the 2019 Gen Con promos.
They remind me of board game cards, or again, failed Kickstarter type cards, rather than an actual professional card game. I don't know why. Again, it might just be I'm old and I don't like change. I don't like the symbols being where they are. I understand the choices. I understand making them smaller. I think there are things in the game that will make it trickier for, things like irrefutable, right? Things like that. I think it makes it slightly harder for newer players. I hate the new symbols. I think again.
We'll get into the new symbols when we actually look at all the new symbols. Just as a quick boilerplate thing, the cards that are going to be displayed on here, apart from Hawks and his attack, are all work in progress cards. So don't take what's on the screen as gospel as to what's coming.
Yeah, and some of this will take looking at in person to get a true judgment, right? and how they're approaching like the full art. I like full arts. I know some people are saying I'm not a huge fan of full. I actually quite like full arts. Like actually, it's probably one of my more favorite alternate arting of cards.
I honestly
Um,
will be hunting XRs a lot less if every single card is flat.
I like full arts. I
Yeah, no.
mean, that's just that's the opinion
Yeah.
based thing. I don't think there's a right or wrong here, but I think it's opinion based thing. Again, we'd have to see how an XR UR looks different from an XR or from a
Yeah.
normal UR, or the difference between an XR common and an XR and a normal common. Like one of my main complaints, some of the XRs at the moment is like some XRs just look no different. Like for the longest time, I had three normal rare heroic lineages and an XR heroic lineage.
And they look
And
no different.
apart from the letters at the bottom, you really cannot tell the difference.
The so before we move on to the next design changes, let's look at Dangerous Hybrid. Yes, it's a work in progress, but it gives us some insight into Nomu 2, aka High End, aka whatever that guy's name was. Because this
Yeah,
is such an interesting
Hood or
card
something.
design wise. When attempting to play this card as a farm, it gets -3 difficulty. Cool.
Mhm.
Discard momentum. This attack gets +2 speed or -2 damage. Playable while committed. Excellent. Deadlock. Flip this attack gets +5 speed or +5 damage. That to me says that Nomu 2 is going to care about the cost of cards, either as like removing them from your discard or discarding them from your hand, and then
Yeah.
gaining speed or damage through the cost of
Yeah,
cards.
he's going to have effectively like almost like a carbo loading on face, right? And
Yeah.
obviously this goes hard, the carbo loading.
Yeah, it is definitely goes hard with card loading.
But yeah, we I think just from reading that, he's going to have a thing based around that. Like he's again because I'd imagine it's going to be a commit this foundation to do a thing because its main enhance is playable while committed, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to have maybe like a first E commit a foundation, get that much damage.
Do you know what else attack loves this card?
What?
Gigantic Explosion. If this becomes better, I'll be running 4 of those.
Uh-huh.
I will happily take +5 damage.
But does carbo loading say non-throw?
Don't know. I'd have to double check that. Probably might. No, it doesn't say non-throw because it's been running Froger.
Yeah. So yeah, putting this and carbo loading in a throw deck.
Yeah. But
seems like a thing.
No, and then we'll move on to the other foundation that was previewed. But looking at this stuff here, I like the way the old symbols look in this new design. Look at that good symbol on number 2 Pro Hero.
Yeah.
That is so nice.
Yeah, we'll get to the symbols and my opinions on that later. So,
but I just want people to remember that
biggest things, right, is the name. In terms of the layout, I don't mind the idea of kind of smallering things and maybe neatening things up. That's all good. Like small, making the block stuff a little bit smaller and like the checks and the difficulty a little bit smaller. Accentuating the art. Not too much of a beef with that, and cleaning up the text boxes again, totally fine. I think if the intention from this is to make people not just like again I can't really show you, but like have their foundations almost like in a line like this, which they often do, is they'll have their foundations like this, right, in a pile on the table. So quite often you know what the hell they're doing. But often you can see the names at the top, and this obviously makes that so much more difficult to work out what's going on.
Yeah, during the UFS days, they were all side to side
on the left. So I guess that's part. Again, it's one of those things I've seen a lot of older players just sort of naturally do because they were used to the left hand side.
And then you've got under our current system is just underneath the name you stack, and you can go here. You've got to kind of have the art fully on displayed, which I guess is better for stacking because you're not going to be able to not hide, but conceal foundations unwittingly, because you're going to have the name displayed all the time, so the art's going to be displayed, and that's personally how I recognise cards more, is by the art.
Yeah, again,
we've got Apple in chat saying going to be great if they add another Ice Storm Giant Ice Wall misprint issue. That's fair.
I mean, they haven't had one since first set one, so I think we can let them off that one. That was a first set printing issue. fingers crossed that doesn't happen, or else that'll be a disaster. I don't like the name being at the bottom. I don't think it
Well,
will
mid,
cost too much.
but yeah.
Oh, in the middle, but yeah, at the bottom of the art. I don't think it detracts too much to keep it at the top of the art, or again move it to the side. It feels like the place they picked is the worst out of the three options. I understand that they want to make the art more the focus. I get it, but the game should be the focus, right? To
Yeah.
me, is playing the game, and I understand maybe they're trying to broaden horizons to bring in more the collector side of it and bring other people in because they love the art and they want to drag in those collectors more. Um, yeah. Yeah, as
Yeah.
Apple's saying, yeah, the plan for XR, again, I was
Just to
saying I
see
like
more
full
art.
art
Yeah.
and Brett isn't a huge fan. I think we need to see how XR treatments work
No, I'm more of
uncommon, a rare, and an ultra rare to really judge it.
the reason I hunt XRs down and I like to play XRs in my decks is because they're full art. If they're not full art XRs, I'm kind of like a little bit less likely to go get them. But like Ice Storm, I want a full art. I want a full set of XR Ice Storms because of how nice they look.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on to, we'll go over the symbols first, then we'll go on to Hawks himself because we're probably gonna have a few things to talk about Hawks. But let's have a look at number 2 Pro Hero. I remember, for people just joined the chat, these are work in progress cards. What we see here may not be the final product.
Yeah, so Hawk's Feather is number 2 Pro Hero.
Yeah.
Is a 2/5 3 mid block foundation. Response commit after attack is blocked. Your rival's next check to play a card gets -1. If you have a copy of Feather in your card pool, draw 1 card. Now I assume again that is older text, so it should probably say Hawks' Feather.
Yeah.
Unless we end up with another card called Feather.
I imagine it's going to be Hawks' Feather, and that's just going to be changed.
And then it's got Deadlock Enhance. Your turn, flip. Your rival commits 1 foundation for each card in your card pool. Which is kind of bonkers. Put in Heroic Strike on a foundation, and the Deadlock Enhance seems really good.
Yeah, that's
again,
kind of
just
Deadlock
the base ability here. Commit after attack is blocked. Your rival's check. So you either break or ring one them. Break a 1, draw a card, or next card. Next attack is -1 speed, draw. So my next attack is +1 speed, draw a card. Yeah, so is that good for a 2/5?
On a symbol that has order and has access to requesting assistance, that does not say your rival's turn. That just says your rival's next check. So you can play that off.
So the +1 speed or breaker 1, right?
Yeah, but with things like repeated smash and requesting assistance, that's reusable. That is more than likely going to be able to be reused.
Yeah, I'm not sold, but we will see.
I mean, we don't know what the rest of the set's going to be like. We don't know how good that's going to be, and if anything, it's a decent Deadlock threat to go. Yeah, that tongue whip you wanted to play. No, it's just that's gonna fuel your destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But let's move over to the symbols. I need to get rid of dangerous. I've accidentally put dangerous high back on because my mouse is been rebelling. I need to get my new other one. New symbols. I'm gonna let you take this away because I just want to talk about chaos and and how much it looks like a butthole. That's it.
Again, I hate them. They look like bad clip art. They look like they're buttons from a terrible free-to-play mobile game. Being brutal. This feels like it was fixing a problem that didn't exist. I understand that they are making the symbol smaller. Cool. I understand what they were doing with movements, but on the card, taking those focus away. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, the ethos behind that, because the symbols are quite a big part of this game's identity and the way those cards work. And they're a good way of part of that teaching process is understanding okay, these are the 3 symbols, so and they've all got these identities, and it's kind of almost removing that away a bit, and that doesn't feel like a right move. And like I said, I don't really like any of the arts on these, and I think if they wanted to small them down, you could clean up the existing ones, and like they did with that good one, that was just a cleaned up existing good symbol. but that was a lot
So
better. And like the
from
life symbol here looks
yeah,
horrid. The good symbol, why is it a big old
yeah.
star? Like honestly, rubbish. The death symbol looks like a chibi, effectively, like a terrible cartoony thing. I'm not here for it. Earth
It's
is
a Bakugo symbol.
Earth
That's
is
just Bakugo.
Mountain Dew, like whatever. Evil looks like, so again, it just looks kind of ridiculous. These look like just bad clip arts. I don't like it.
Well,
I'm an old man. I'm going to shout on my cloud, and I don't like it.
for me, I think
But
the general consistent is good. Is just not nice. It's the Pixar ball from above. That's about it. But
yeah,
being a brutally honest opinion, I don't care. I don't. It's one thing that the symbols of the game. I legitimately do not care as long as I know what my opponent's playing, and that's where I get confused with this. Because
yeah. So
if you're saying we've made them color coordinated so that they're easier to recognize, that you can just look and see the colors, and you can go, they're playing these three symbols purely on color. You then can't go, oh yes, we've also moved them to the bottom of the card and shrunk them down to make them easier to recognize.
yeah. Again, like you said, I don't really care for me.
Yeah.
I will understand how these work. I'm already invested. I'm an embedded player. It's just a little bit of like, okay, I need to remember the all symbol looks different and looks like a shitty gear now rather than actually
I
an orange thing.
I like this
I
more.
don't like. It doesn't bother me. However, new players, they're going to bounce off this crap. Again, I've literally just explained all this shit to some people on Sunday, and now I've got to
Okay.
unexplain and explain it again next
So
time.
I've actually got the best counter argument to this. First of all, unpopular opinion, I like all. I like all better than the red circle that made no sense to me. I just kept seeing it as a red circle. But the moment this stuff dropped, Flynn saw me going through like all the information, and he picked up one of my cards. He started picking up cards and comparing the symbols to the new symbols, and the 6-year-old was able to correlate every single symbol that was changed to what was on the other cards, apart from all and good, because of
Yeah.
how much they've changed. All the other 10 symbols, he was immediately able to correlate between the old system and the new system. So I don't think new players are going to struggle that much with the change.
No, I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm saying they're just not going to want to, and that's my
Yeah,
beef, right? They're going to be like, "Why have they changed all this stuff? Made it confusing. I'm out." Right? There's going to be people that just have that kind of visceral reaction to change, and they're not necessarily embedded enough in the game that they will just bounce off. And there's going to be people, because obviously there's already been bloody drama posts on Discord and
yeah.
Facebook, because there's always bloody drama, of saying, "Right, I don't like the change. I'm out. I'm not playing the game." But it's the new players who are going to have that kind of, I've learnt this thing and I'm already getting to grips with this, what is effectively a complex-ish game. If you know, it's a complex game with a lot of a learning curve, and now you're adding to that learning curve because now I've got to remember that all symbol is this purple, this orange blob in there, and this stupid gear in this other thing, and oh, I've got them mixed up. Oh wait, no, that's not fire, that's all. And again, people are going to be confused by it and bounce off. I
Yeah.
don't care. I care for the effect it's going to have on other people.
I'm
I think it's fixing a problem that didn't
I'm
exist.
kind of Apple. I like limiting it to the 3 color palette. I like keeping it. I like the simplistic. I know
Yeah,
as much you hate it because you're saying it looks like failed. I like the more simplistic design of it because it's going to make it easier for me to recognize. There's already
uh,
so much to remember in this game.
that's okay. But I think they could have had the same impact by reducing the amount of change and just simplifying and cleaning up the existing symbols so there was consistency with a small amount of change and cleaning up, right? And that's what they're losing with some of these symbols is that consistency. Life looks nothing like life. Good looks nothing like good. All looks nothing like all. Why? They should be that consistency there. Like if they change, like water, I don't have a beef with. Void, again, it was like grey before and now it's purple. Like, no, keep it consistent but simplify and clean.
See, I think
That's what it
I
should have
think
been.
life does look like the old life. I think they're just giving it the Snorlax treatment where it was lying down for 17 years and then it's finally stood up.
But no, because it was green and yellow beforehand, and now
Yeah,
it's
but
just
I'm just about like pure image wise. It was it was leaves on the ground, and now it's leaves
yeah. But
stand up.
people don't look at that; they look at the colors more than anything else, right? They
Yeah.
will look at the colors more than anything else.
So
Um,
overall, you don't like them, and overall, I kind of
like
like
some
them.
of
I kind of
like
like them.
evil's fine, Earth's fine, chaos is whatever. Like,
I
again,
love
look,
chaos.
I understand they wanted to differentiate chaos and evil because they are too similar right now.
Yeah.
But again, it's there's ways and means of doing that. I'm not a graphic designer, so I can't tell you what they
No.
are. I'm sure there are of not fixing the problem that didn't exist, but just bending the current ones into the new look and feel.
At least they
There
kept.
must be a way of doing that.
At least they kept the images on there, and we didn't just get pure coloured symbols like just air being blue, chaos being pink, evil being red with just like nothing on there. So you just like had a colour coded system.
No, they can't.
They
Again,
could have. They
that
could
would have
have.
been the worst possible decision
Yeah,
ever
that's
to
that.
prove it. It
As
just messes with color
as
blindness,
bad as
right?
this is, it could have been worse.
Yeah, I mean that's just like they want to set fire to their company if they're doing that because again, it just says if you're colorblind, you're not allowed to play this game.
So I gave my last impressions, like lasting thoughts on the card design. Would you on the card backing? Would you like? Is there any last thoughts you've got on the symbols? While moving
No,
over to Hawks.
no. I mean, again, a lot of this stuff I don't necessarily care from a
Ooh,
personal perspective. Some of it,
Apple raises a good point.
yeah, they haven't.
We haven't seen Infinity yet. Yeah.
Yeah, they might be dropping it.
No, there's no way they drop Infinity.
Might do, but there've been no talks of that, so
No,
we'll have to wait and see.
unless it's just
Um,
going to be blank because Infinity isn't a symbol. It's like have these blank spots there instead. It just can be played.
Yeah, it could be just like an empty circle for this is anything,
You
or
don't
it
even
just
need the
has no,
circles. It's just gonna,
or it just has no symbols on it.
yeah.
Right, it's a card with no symbols, so it says I'm no symbols. I can be played in anything.
Because with the change of it, instead of being all symbols being no symbols, it would just make sense to just print cards with no symbols at the
Yeah,
bottom, and you can just do. Oh, yeah, I can play anywhere. But let's move over to the man, the myth, the legend, pro hero number 2, Hawks. I know the image that they put up on the website wasn't the greatest. Through some jiggery pokery, we have high end visual images of Hawks and Hawks' feather.
I mean, we can skip past this. You're not that invested in Hawks. You've got no sort of relationship with it. Like we don't need to care.
For those that don't know, my husband is a huge Hawks fan. We've got Hawks memorabilia everywhere. They've got electronic wings. They're probably one of the most
I mean,
famous Hawks TikTokers.
they're
And
basically a professional Hawks cosplayer,
yeah,
right?
they've
So
been waiting for this a lot, and I love the new character designs. The way that characters, if this is how all characters are going to be handled, I like the initial design. My only drawback is the outlines on the keywords like enhance and response. The enhance kind of blends into Hawks' background.
yeah. So I like it overall. I'm quite positive on Hawks,
Yeah.
like ignoring the text, but just the look and feel. I think, especially with the light color background and the light text, I know it almost ruins the art, but having some sort of uh, semi-translucent, like grayish kind of background on the text, just to make that more legible, because it's not the most legible there. And obviously,
Uh,
your character's some of the most
yeah.
important thing. I know they're wanting to show as much of the art and have it not get in the way as much of the art as possible.
Mr.
Um,
Kong says he likes new art models. Yeah, I just think having a thick outline around the words would have just done the same job. I'm loving the
yeah,
fact that characters got traits, and I really hope that comes into effect. But I hope it becomes backwards compatible because for those who might have missed it in the all the information that we got, because we got a lot of information in the next set, there will be 18 alt art characters from any set.
well, we don't know how many there are,
I'm
right?
pretty sure it said
So
18.
no, it's one every 18 packs.
Oh, one every 18 packs, yeah. So there's gonna
Yeah,
be sorry, that's where I got the number 18 from. One in every 18 packs. So pretty much one per box, two if you're
yeah.
lucky.
So it'll work out probably something along the lines of like 8 per case,
Yeah,
right?
you're gonna get an
Um,
alt art character, and that can be backdated through the previous 5 sets as well.
Yeah. So again,
Which is
that's
cool.
I like the trend. Again, this is a positive thing. I don't want to kind of come
No,
across that I'm just Captain Negatron and everything.
no, no.
Like, this is a positive move. Uh, the move towards more premium versions of existing cards rather than mechanically uniques. A drum that everyone has been banging, including me from day one, go to mechanically uniques. I don't think they're going to go away entirely, but they are certainly moving away from it. We'll wait and see what they're going to do with things like plus ultras and regional promos. But we'll get to those
I'm more
when we know
interested to
about them.
see where these traits go, and like when we got the assets, young heroes and pro heroes. If pro heroes had a pro hero enhance, if League of Villains had a villain enhance, so it had you could play it in,
Yeah.
you could play it in a hero, but it had this enhance that was exclusive to villains, would
Yeah.
be
So
amazing.
again, it's interesting. Obviously, I've not watched any of the show with Hawks in, so I don't know what it does. So I'll answer your
Yeah,
question in a second, Andrew. I'll
Jasco
go
is
down.
still under the same ownership.
Yeah, I'll answer it fully in a second. I'll just go down my path. So yeah, these traits, and we're obviously seeing they are backdating them to an extent.
Yeah.
Because if you look at we may get to the Gen Con promos, the Bakugo one as part of those has traits. Interestingly, the Midoriya doesn't, but that may be because they're treating him as the earlier part of that arc where he isn't a school person, he isn't a hero, he's just Midoriya one. But he's just Deku. I don't know. But they've obviously backdated it to them. So it'll be, again, another kind of upwards hill for newer players if effectively every character existing in the game gets a functional errata. But that remains to be seen. But they are obviously giving people ways of doing it with these alternate arts, which is cool.
Yeah.
So to answer your questions, Andrew, so
More
is it
likely.
still under Jasco or new ownership? They are the same people. So it's still Rohan and Paul, whatever his surname is, I can't remember now. So yeah, Lauren and Paul, the owners, they're still the same people. They're still the same company. It's still everyone the same people that work there. It's effectively a rebranding and a renaming of the company because Jasco essentially was named by the person who owned the company before them. So it's still the same infrastructure, just differently. And will new characters Kirishima One have new errata text? They absolutely will.
Yeah.
Because, for example, they did reprint, I think, for last year's Gen Con, a Kirishima One with updated errata text.
Yeah,
And I think
we actually got some at Vegas thanks to
yes,
Cody. Thanks to Cody, we got a hold of a couple of them.
yeah, and I think the Chrome Kirishima One had the errata text. So
Yeah.
I think anything going forward will have errata. So if for example there's a alternate Ojiro 2, it'll have the errata text.
So before we go into the abilities of Hawks and before we go into Hawks' feather, I would like to voice my biggest concern and outrage at this card.
Is it because he doesn't have the air symbol?
It is.
Over it.
You give the fastest hero who can fly, and you take away air. Good and evil, I can understand. For spoilers for Richard here, but it's been out in the show for a while, and as Universus has let us know, we can talk about anything that's happened in the show that's relevant to the game. And Hawks is a spy for the villains as well as being a pro hero, hence why he's a hero villain. So good and evil
So is
makes
he
sense.
actually a good guy
Yeah.
that is double crossing villains, or is he a villain that's double crossing the good guys?
He is a pro hero that is spying for the villains. Whether he's a good guy is a moral question that I can make an entire new podcast on. That I'm not getting into at this point because I want to go to sleep. I can talk for hours about whether Hawks is a good guy.
That's a podcast for your partner to do, right?
He's a product of his trauma. Put it that way.
Okay.
But yes, he is the fastest and one of the only heroes that can fly. And for the people that keep going, well, Tokiyami doesn't have air. Tokiyami 1 could not fly. Season 1, Season 2, he could not fly. He didn't even have the idea of trying to make himself fly until he saw Hawks and how mobile he was. That's why Tokiyami 2 has air. He started to learn how to fly. So
for me, the reasoning most likely is game mechanics, right? They most likely wanted to build Hawks with the game mechanics of these symbols, right?
Yeah.
Rather than what air does. That's probably the biggest reason for it.
I've got Apple in the chat going, he did what was needed. It was not needed. It. I should put a link to my to my husband's uh, TikTok Hawks apology video, which was hilarious.
Huh.
But yeah, I know. I was talking to Guile before the stream, and he was telling me that he didn't need air. Order made more sense under what they were doing, and I said, yeah. Even in his backstory, the fact that the Heroes Association has raised him to keep order and to further the goals of the Hero Association, order does make sense. But he should have had air. He
Again, I imagine it's a mechanical thing rather than a flavor thing.
I do love the fact that because he's got evil, you can sideboard him with Tokiyami and with Endeavor, which is brilliant. You get to essentially make decks where you can go from Tokiyami into Tokiyami's idol, and then you can go from Hawks into Endeavor, who is Hawks' idol, which is brilliant. Thematically, Hawks having great respect and love for Endeavor is a whole thing. The show manga did a real good job of showing why Hawks is so attached to Endeavor. I don't like the fact that you can't play him with Dabby because that's his best ship and he's not on there. Makes me sad. But
yeah, Andrew in chat saying what symbol has the most speed modifiers? Maybe that's for the decision. Yes, I think it's going to be the symbol identity matching what they want to do with the character rather than a thematic thing.
So let's go into.
I can't remember what the symbol entities actually are doing and what each of them is known for. We don't need to go into
I think Air has the majority of speed stuff. You've got Jiro, which has a lot of speed reduction. You've got Mirio, which has a lot of speed reduction. You've got Asui stuff, which can do speed reduction. You've got Basic Training, which is speed and damage pump. 13 does speed reduction, has air. It makes a lot of sense, but we don't know what else is in the set, so it might be more thematically for the set and for Sealed to have him under these symbols.
Yeah, it might have been a balance thing. It's like they had other characters they wanted to give air, and they just didn't have the room to give him air as well. I don't know. Like, so we can speculate, but we'll never know.
Initial reaction and going up from Tam and Samte and other people have already done some videos react to this. Shout out to Levi, who had a video ready to go like an hour after this stuff was released. Yeah. He's an absolute beast. Levi's very indifferent to Hawks. I'm very indifferent to Hawks, whether that's because we like Hawks as a character and we're just happy he's not terrible is great. Sam Tate, not a big fan of Hawks, and when we go into his abilities, it's because Hawks is essentially Tiger 2. So, first of all, at the start of your combat phase, add 2 copies of Hawks' Feather from your discard pile to your hand. So, late game, he's an 8-hander, which is great. I am a bit upset he's not like a Razorhead where he starts with 1 in discard. I think that would have been a nice little thing to keep him going.
I'm sure he's going to have ways and tutors for getting him into and like ways of getting them into the discard from deck or whatever.
So can I just
from what he says, he looks like he's just a CH rarity. Yeah, Andrew.
It's
so I don't think it could be a starter deck because that still comes with the SE.
Yeah, he's number 37 of 153. So we know how big the set is, and he looks like he's going to have a full kit from where his number is. Because
I'd be amazed if Hawks did not have a full kit.
No. But yeah, this is one of the great things about having the full image, like having the full high resolution. We can now see how big the set is as well. But yeah. I'm a bit disappointed he doesn't start 1 discard like Eraser, but you can probably cheat one out quite quickly. Enhance once per turn, change its attack zone to high. You may switch its speed and damage. Response once per enhanced step. After an attack speed is modified, it gets +1 or -1 speed.
Yeah, I mean it's just kind of a bit.
Yeah,
that again. I'm probably the same reaction as you were. Like it's obviously not really terrible, but like. Unless there's crazy, interesting things he's doing with those Hawks' feathers, like attack, enhance, tutor your deck, get a 1 difficulty card, put it in your discard pile, shuffle. Unless he's got things of getting them in there and speeding that up and doing things with those feathers. Like he's got that number 2 pro hero, which obviously doing things with feathers. So I think in order to really judge him and how he's going to play, we need to see his full kit. But yeah, initial reaction is yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's not like I have the same thing as when I saw All for One. It's a case of it makes sense. Do I wish it was more powerful? Yes, but am I glad it isn't just Tokiyami 2 never gonna see play tier?
Hmm.
Yes, not every card can be a banger, and Hawks has got such good collectability value, and I would
Yeah.
be very surprised if he's not part of
And
Spotify.
what I would say is the XR of this card will pop.
I will talk about XR. I think this is going to be one of the 5 Chromes we get next set. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Chromes are back. They look like they're going to be in every set now from going off what the information was. And the next one is going to be 5 characters. And if Hawks isn't one, I will be very surprised. He is a fan favourite.
Hmm.
Hawks is Feather, 1 cost attack, +2 mid block, 1 high for 1.
So
Uh,
one minute.
1 mid block, say it. If this tag is removed by rival effect, add it to the bottom of your deck instead. So yeah, confused ain't touching this. Uh, it is. There's not going to be a lot. Present
So
Mike.
funny
Present
thing
Mike
is
1 dies this.
what's that?
Present Mike 1 can't touch this.
So funny thing is if this similar to I think it's Cool and Tough. Um, if so if it goes to momentum and then someone capture evildoers as a hawk's feather, I don't think they get the momentum because what happens is it replaces it
It's a
doesn't actually
replacement
get
effect,
removed.
yeah.
It doesn't get removed. It goes to the bottom of the deck. Therefore, they didn't pay the cost. Therefore, they don't get the momentum.
Well,
This
we've
is a
got
weird case.
Apple. Will pass that question over to you. If you remove a Hawks' feather from momentum, does the other person get momentum because it doesn't get removed? It gets put onto it's a replacement. It goes to the bottom of the deck. So
No, because it's the way Cool and Tough. Is it Cool and Tough? Is a replacement effect, which means
we'll
you put it
let
in your hand instead.
while we go over the enhancers, we'll let Apple do the research there. But
No, I know that's how that works.
hand enhance, add this card to your card pool. This tech gets +2 or -3 speed. That's pretty decent.
Yeah,
Uh,
and as with these add this card to your card pool. There's no cost involved, right? You don't have to make a check.
and Hawks enhance. This attack gets +2 damage. So it's a 1/3.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Apple. I'll let you explain the question for Apple.
don't worry, I know I'm right about it.
Uh, oh yeah, we got a judge in here anyway. So
Okay, so what we're saying it's whether Hawks' feather works the same way with capture evildoers that Call and Tough does, in that if someone capture evildoers a Hawk's feather from your momentum, because the replacement effect has put it onto the bottom of your library, or your deck, sorry, the cost of capture evildoers wasn't paid, therefore you don't get the free momentum of capture.
yeah, so because your opponent didn't remove a momentum, you don't get to add one because it went to the bottom of the deck instead.
Which
It,
Cool and Tough says you draw instead of it going away,
yeah,
and therefore I don't think if you Cool and Tough someone's as a response to someone capture evildoers in you, they don't get the momentum. But
I
anywho's,
like Hawks' feather. I don't think it's going to
yeah,
see much play outside of
don't
Hawks.
don't underestimate the power of a 1 difficulty attack.
Yeah,
Right?
I was just gonna say I would love to see Jiro run this and just be like, haha, suck my
Weapons only gain speed, right?
yeah. So yeah, it'd be here's my 6 mid for 1.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks embarrassing as a 1 mid for 1, right? But it does have this hand trap, especially in Hawks, is like +3 or -4 speed, right? Um, and secretly that's only -2 or -3 speed because you're clogging your card pool with it. But it being, especially in Hawks, when you're always got 2, just always having an orange to press your buttons on. Like, there's so many games I've played with characters where I'm like, I've got my Destined and my Chivalrous and whatever else on board, and I just need to draw 1 orange so I can press all these buttons, my latent skills, because I can
Yeah,
press all these buttons and just cycle into more orange. And I just draw 6 graze, and I'm like,
Yeah. I mean,
at
look at
least with Hawks, he's gonna okay. It's only a 1, but I'll play this on a 1. Press all my buttons. Hope I get there.
well,
There's
look at this.
there's always an excellent option. And also,
It's
it's like you've played 4 attacks. You play this. It's only on a 5. In Hawks, it's a 1-3. In Tokayami, it's a 1. It's a 2. Sorry, a 3-4 because you've got 2 Summon Dark Shadows in the pool, and you've got him for +1.
here's one for you. Stain
Mhm.
1. It's Stain 1, so if it deals damage, you take an additional 1, and you put Stain on board. How bad do you feel blocking a 1/1 just to keep Stain offline?
Yeah, yeah. It's like turn 2. It's like okay, I'll build 3 and then I'll do this.
Yeah, it's just,
What you gonna do, punk?
yeah, and then this could see playing Jiro just to add to the progressive. If you go,
No, again, this is a string ender, right? That's the benefit of it being 1 diff.
yeah, but if you go, it's not got charged, so you won't see it in home comic. But if you go double jump pummel, you play this to make double jump pummel a 5-speed 8. You get your combo still goes because
I
you play an
suppose
attack.
it's a weapon for Staff Strike, right?
Yeah.
In good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think it's probably going to be niche applications.
I
Like,
f-
you
I
want
can-
to be able to
yeah.
load damage on this, but Hawks having this come in as a 1-3 at the end of a string, like, don't underestimate
No.
the power of like how free it is.
And it's one thing. It feels bad to block. If you keep it as a 1/1, it's probably going through because it's negligible damage, but it's momentum, and it's on BMI Buster symbols as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think Hawks' feather isn't going to be like this game-breaking thing, but I think it's something people should probably consider as like almost like pseudo actions, right? Not really attacks; they're just an action that deals 3 damage.
the more I look at it, as like power balance cards, these feel really nice, but I'm excited to see what's coming in this set because if it's going to be about the pro heroes, we're going to get Miracle, we're going to get Endeavor 3, we're going to get High End, we might even get Washy Wash, the greatest hero who is literally just a washing machine.
Okay,
but
my hero got weird, didn't it?
Yeah.
So I think part of the almost the bouncing off of Hawks is how spoiled we were with set 5, right? Because I think most people agree the characters in set 5 were banging, right? They're not only powerful, like even like we're seeing our 2 starter, that we have an RLE in Oceania, our finalists are the 2 starter deck characters.
I imagine that Mr. Brave will definitely make an appearance.
I hope he doesn't. I really hope it's a massive troll because that'd be brilliant.
It's the Nationals promo.
Yeah, we've got all of these really cool characters in set 5, and even the ones like during that spoiler season where we're like, "Oh, this character is really cool. It's great. Deck of 4, brilliant." And someone spoiled Nejire, brilliant. And then we see this, and it's like, he's all right. And I think that's part of the bouncing off. Is
I think one of the things that is if they put a really hype and powerful set 6 character on there, it would detract from the changes, and more people be talking about the character and not about the rebranding and the changes. So that
maybe.
But before we move on to the rest of the stuff that we're about the changes, let's stay with my hero and move over to Gen Con playmats. Very summary, very nice. I do like the fact
they're all right.
Yeah,
I don't have a particularly strong opinion of them. Like, if you like them, cool. They're not necessarily my cup of tea. They're all right.
I'd have liked to see, because we're like in the League of Villains like build up and sort of like we're still in that kind of era. I'd have liked to see the fantasy ones we saw last year, but from the villains' point of view. So like a Demon Lord, All for One, a Black Knight.
It would be cool to see like this almost summer party vibes of Class 1A as a summer party vibes of like Shigaraki and all that stuff. However, I'd imagine that the IP owner would hate it and would tell them to get out of town.
It annoys me because I get the IP owners, I get Toei Animation want the kids and the heroes to be there, but the best thing about My Hero Academia, the thing that draws everybody in, is the villains and how relatable they are and how you can understand
how
what's
they
going
are, right?
But
So Andrew said, will Jetburn contain a lot of the fire symbol characters like Undor 2 I got legal support? Not a Scooby buddy. I don't know virtually anything about this arc. In fact, I know nothing. Like I got up to the point where basic in the show anyway, where Overhaul had just sort of turned up
so
and
I,
sorted
I'm
out that
I'm
stuff.
going to ride on my own coattails for predicting one of the IPs that they've actually announced. From I've been saying, oh yeah, they're going to do. So I'm really proud of myself for that. I'm going to say that this next set is going to be about the pro heroes, the Class A versus Class 1A versus Class 1B, and a little bit of the music festival. We might have like an SR like Hero 2, or some of the alt art cards might be the like Jiro in their music festival stuff. But I think it's mainly going to
Okay.
be Gentle Criminal, the top maybe 5 of the top 10 pro heroes. We might see Snipe 2, but we're probably going to see Miracle. We're probably not going to see Washy Wash, because how do you create Washy Wash? And then we're going to see a bit of love towards Class 1B as well, because
Mhm.
they're coming and they're really good. But
I like the call actually there of these alternate arts are going to be like that music festival thing,
yeah,
because that makes a lot of sense, right? They're doing these alt arts. Maybe they don't want to, and they don't necessarily have a story they want to put into like mechanical cards in the
yeah,
game for this bit, but that makes like the perfect setting for these alternate arts. So like
yeah. And
you can
having
get a
one of this,
Jiro and a Momo and a Deku and a Bakugo and an Ida in their kind of these
yeah,
festival things,
and
whatever.
all
Again,
even all the like Monomer and all the other Class 1Bs have all got the same thing, and you can have a secret rare with Hero 2 and have the art on there of them in their music uniforms, and that to me, Hero 2 to me is a perfect secret rare. But moving on to something I had to quickly update last minute: high resolution image of Gen Con promos. Immediately, I'm drawn to the fact that the enhancers just blend in. They really need to be thicker on the
yeah,
edges, but
yeah. Again, I don't like how sometimes the text isn't so clear.
yeah,
Um, and obviously, this explains, as people have mentioned, why they didn't show the full text and what they were on the
it's
initial
because
straight
this.
up. Yeah. So the interesting thing here is obviously we'll see him back here on, as I mentioned earlier, he doesn't have any traits. Now, either this is a misprinting and he's supposed to have traits
Yeah,
and they forgot to put it on this one and it's just a mock up and whatever, or they didn't give him traits because this is effectively Midoriya before he goes to school and before he meets All-Might.
yeah. A lot of his
You know,
card art and stuff like that was the entrance exam.
yeah, and that's why they haven't given him the traits yet. Because although he's effectively got the enhances of having all for one, he's not. That they don't want to give him the traits. Well, again, I don't.
My takeaway from this is the fact that it's Midoriya 1 again. We've got
Mhm.
so much Midoriya 1 stuff. Midoriya 2 has got a promo from the game. I would have loved
Yeah,
to.
but it's just again part of the game. It always has to
I
be
would have
just
loved to have seen. Yeah, but I would have loved to have seen this as Deku 3. So for the people that
yeah.
hate chibis, to have Deku 3, because then all 4
No, they
versions.
can't. They can't because he's a stacker, right? They can't. People
Uh,
would
but
people would lose their shit if they made a promo version of a stacker and didn't give out
eh,
4 at a time.
but it's once again all 4 versions would have a promo version, because Deku 4 got a promo before it was even released, which
I
is.
know, but again, it's a stack. If unless they're giving out 4 of the four
I'm
copies,
loving the summer vibe, and yeah, we see Katsuki Bakugo here.
and
One
also
A
another reason
student.
they won't do it is because he's in one of the latest DLCs, right?
We'll get into we'll get into DLC promos, because there's one in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Katsuki Bakugo. It's Katsuki Bakugo 1 again. Again, I would love to see it be 2. I think the later ones need a bit more love. The fact Class 1A is a trait is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1A and a student. So again, we can see this kind of backdating. So you may have missed it, but where's the indicator of what version it is? Oh yes, that was another thing that was missing on these cards. It doesn't actually say what version of like Bakugo he is or what version of Deku he is. Again, these might be mock-ups that aren't finalized, but given like Gen Con's pretty bloody soon, um,
Yeah.
it doesn't say whether he's 1.2.3. Like it doesn't.
Uh,
So, that
that's
might
yeah.
be a boo boo.
That's Well, let's quickly.
And actually, did it? can you go back to
That's
Hawks?
what I'm quickly just thinking. If we go back to Hawks, just quickly there.
Because does it
Uh,
show it on him?
Character CH. No, I don't see anywhere where it says. That's really interesting. Where's the character version? If Lenoko's still here, if you can tell us where and when that will be displayed, that'd be really great. But
Yeah, that's weird.
if not, after the stream, I will.
Unless it's supposed to be in the bottom info.
Also, I'm just looking at the bottom info, but I can't see anything there. This is CH MHA06 4751 illustration by Bones. It doesn't actually have the character depiction.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I know maybe they decided they didn't need to put it on there because they're obviously different because they've got different text on them.
It might, because these are all first characters. It might just be part of their name, so it might be like Hawks brackets 2 brackets 3 brackets 1. Similar to
That might be it.
Similar to All Might True Form, where they did it that way.
Yeah, it might be it might be a name thing. So yeah, so it might be this is Hawks and then Hawks 2 or so on and so forth.
We've only seen.
I know they put out some updates, so I don't know whether that was confirmed in that, but
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what they did with that.
Definitely interested to see that because that's just an interesting thing we see there. But hopefully, it'll be on there because that'll be a missed opportunity there. But yeah, the one that caused a bit of issue in the group chat, which is traditionally Sato card snack time having Kirishima's face on it.
It doesn't matter, right? That doesn't need to be. I mean, this is going to be the money card from these promos because it's the only one that people actually want to play with. Maybe Bakugo one. But yeah, obviously, snack time format staple. If you're on these symbols,
so
if you're playing Mountain Dew, Scary Skeleton, and Cog Friend.
So Kai, the top 16 player from the hourly EU, who got there with Kirishima 2, did not play snack time in their list because it did not have Kirishima's face in it. And he plays.
He's a Kirishima stan.
And yeah, he's got a Kirishima tattoo on his hand that he was really happy to show off on stream. And he basically he doesn't play cards if they don't have Kirishima's face in, even unless they're integral to his game plan. And
right.
he refused. Players play the way they want to play, and he's done really well. He's did top 16.
So he's going to be murdering people to get 4 of these.
Yeah. So the moment that Snack Time was released with Kirishima's face in it, it's a case of he will now play it, and he will be bending over backwards to get hold of these. But Snack Time's an overall decent card, and I said this is going to be the chase card. Everyone's going to be after this. Then we've got, I think, Class 1A President. No, we've got just Cool Student. Tokiyami card, Cool Student. Which has got Shoto on it. I love the fact that he's eating, guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cool student. He's eating ice cream.
This is going to be the one.
And also, it kind of makes somewhat thematic sense, right? Because he's half Frost.
This is going to be the one I'm after because I do run Cool Student a lot of the times when I'm playing Chaos, especially on defensive decks. I think it's really cool. And I think
in kind of a niche card, but a played card. Again, quite often, especially ally decks will play copies, and sometimes you might play a copy or two in other decks. So,
especially with how important momentum's become, I could definitely see this getting a bit more resurgence. Class 1A President DLC card from the first set.
Was it?
Yeah. That's why I was going to bring it up a little bit later. That's it to bring it up. Class 1A President was a DLC card. Flip. This attack gets if this attack speed is at least doubled, it is printed. It gets plus 2 mastery damage. That's why I said. That's why I said it should have been Deku free.
I mean, it's in 0 plays. It doesn't matter, but
yeah. But it's when people go, oh, you should have been Deku free. Like, they want this DLC cards, like Class 1A President's DLC, and they go, oh yeah.
It's set 1 DLC. Like, if anyone wanted set 1 DLC, they'll boy by now. Yeah, but obviously no one ever plays that card. So
I've seen it played in Ingenium in the main Discord. There's an Ingenium player who does like it because it can deal damage. But yeah, This is going to be one of the ones. If you get it at the event, you're going to be probably the most disappointed. This is the worst of the 6, in my opinion. And then this is the second to
possibly
last.
tied with this one.
I think this one will see more play just because of waifu tax.
No, yeah, again, it'll be more desirable because of waifu tax, not because it's seasonally play.
And the art is a lot better.
Yeah.
So Zero Gravity Capture. I tied my first provisional star championship because of this card. So I'm not. I've always had a bit of a hatred for it, but it's pretty cool. I like the art. I think it's decent.
Yeah, but again, I think it's a bit kind of running out of the Chaco cards, and we'll just do this one.
So this is flowing quite well because now we get to move on to something else that will be happening at Gen Con, and the new information that came out is new IPs.
Yeah, so we've got these 2 new challenger decks. The impression I get, they are very much like.
So before we go into challenger, let's talk about. It's also the fact that. That the people taking part in Gen Con this year will receive the Cowboy Bebop and the Trigun playmats just for taking part in the RLE.
Yeah,
so they're going to
get fine because they have to pay a premium to go to Gen Con.
Yeah, so it's a great way to tie in. I called that Cowboy Bebop was going to be one of the IPs that came. So I called it all the way back in January. And then was like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They've already done it, and they can't get the license. I was like, it's going to happen for one reason, and I've not seen anyone talk about it. And I was talking with Paul earlier, and he says he hasn't seen anyone talk about it. It is the Cowboy Bebop 25th anniversary this year. It is 25 years since the anime was released, so it makes the perfect sense for a resurgence of Cowboy Bebop. Crunchyroll been pushing it from 25 year. It got remastered. All the stuff I've seen about Cowboy Bebop is people saying it's going to be the Netflix stuff, but after seeing the video where they went back over the history of Lohan and Paul, and knowing it's the 25th anniversary, I've not seen Cowboy Bebop. I'm an Outlaw Star fan, but this has made me want to watch it, but to get ready for this.
I've not seen Cowboy Bebop. No. I've not seen Trigun Stampede. I'm not an anime guy really.
Yeah.
But just from the setting perspective, it's like whatever. But it's cool that we're getting these new stuff. So the obviously they're getting these playmats at Gen Con, which is fine. These guys have to pay a premium to play at Gen Con. No, I do not begrudge the bling. So what these are effectively announcing is the challenger deck.
Yeah, they kind of like the new star decks, aren't they?
Yeah, so these are like side products to the My Hero Academia product line. And they are 60 card decks with 2 characters. So these are, I believe, very similar to a product they had in Magic. I don't know if they do them anymore, but they were like almost like F&M decks, and they were constructed decks, and they were supposed to be competitive, that you could take to an F&M, Friday Night Magic, like their, your locals tournament, and do totally fine with, and not be embarrassed by. Like, if you take a Clash deck and take that and play it in a tournament, you're probably going to do very well because they're supposed to be playing against each other. They're a beginner product. You're supposed to then take away and build and stuff. No, these were like they had constructed staples in it. They had booster pack. They weren't just like fixed. They had booster pack cards.
It feels like the natural progression of the Clash decks. There was even a situation,
funny enough, in Magic where one of these products they had on sale and was current had a banned card in. So they had to make this weird ruling that you could play this banned card in standard as long as you were playing just this product and just the exact list of this product. So it meant this product could still be used and sold.
So when I went through this, the one thing that caught my eye was the reprints. The fact that we're going to see reprints and possible alt-art cards from anywhere. So this is where like the Universus side comes into the challenge deck. You could see a self-sacrifice in a Cowboy Bebop challenger deck. You could
So they could be reprints of My Hero. It could be like,
could go further back.
they could reprint Templar, and Sam Tate would just be happy. Um,
It makes sense rather than having to print bang again in the next Cowboy Bebop, or and then they can reprint it in the Challenger deck and go, cool, it's in the Challenger deck, it's now legal, all your old copies are now legal as well.
yeah. So obviously this won't be legal in My Hero Block.
No.
So these will just be almost a side product. They're not legal in our main competitive scene, right? And that's kind of the important thing. But I think in terms of our formats and the format diversity and legalities and things like that, that is to come, to my
Yeah.
understanding, right?
That is the direction they're going in. It's we're gonna have it's already happened on Discord. MHA block, Trigun block, Cowboy Bebop block, Mega Man block, whatever comes out next and going on there. Mega Man was just an example. I don't know if it's actually coming. Do not hold.
No.
That is not an official statement by UKVersus.
No, so like we don't know if we're going to get the standard. We don't know what about retro. We don't know what these things are. So that's again makes perfect sense. They haven't burnt all this information out in one blurb and overwhelm people. It's just like, right, okay, here's these products, and then we'll deal about the format stuff later because it's not important right now.
Exactly, and I think this is gonna lead to the HLC also going under a rebrand, because it makes no sense to have the Heroes League Championship as the big event. I think we're moving more to Universus Worlds featuring the HLC, featuring Cowboy Bebop World Championship, featuring Dragon Championship.
They're not going to be legal, right? This is still
no. I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about Endgame. We're going to see HLC as part of Universus World Championship. We're going to see it's going to be integrated into it.
That will be a gradual move over when it's like when they're moving away from the My Hero arc onto different sets.
Yeah, well, that's the future. Yeah, these guys will probably not even hit. We might see Cowboy Bebop and Trigun around November, December time, because one of the great things they can do now is in this dead time of My Hero Academia from November to February, they can push Cowboy Bebop and Trigun. They can have pre-releases. They can have whatever the Professional Star Championship, whatever the RLE versions. They can now set up these competitive seasons that they don't need to overlap. They can literally just
yes and no. So like, obviously these are very small products, right? They're very fixed products. They're not going to have booster products. So there's not really much of a way of doing competitive scene out of them. They're more like almost like a novelty product at the moment until they expand that. So Andrew's just asking, we all might get another character card. I very much doubt it.
You have Richard doesn't watch the show. Richard doesn't read the manga. Richard has no idea. I did suggest doing that as a podcast, a whole podcast thing of going over characters who may or may not get a next card.
Partly because I think it's about a 10-minute conversation, and partly
it's if you get people that that are in the know, this is a long conversation.
And part of the problem is I don't. So I mean, you can have that with a blank window if you want.
So All Might get a small Might card like number 4 as a teacher, because he does step up as a teacher, but I don't think we'll see All Might 9 or 10 until we get to where we are in the manga now. I'm not going to go into spoilers because that is huge spoilers, and this fight hasn't even happened yet. But All Might's still got a few tricks up his sleeve, and we must always remember Night Eye's prediction: All Might will die fighting a villain. That is his destiny.
Okay. But yeah, so these challenge decks are cool. Like I said, they're a bit of a novelty, and I think they're more for kitchen table play than necessarily anything else, or just sort of more casual play. And we'll just have to wait and see in terms of announcements as to how the formats evolve from here.
So
but again, it makes more sense to just concentrate on the branding and the relaunching side, and we'll worry about the format stuff later.
Yeah, talking future announcements and stuff like that. I was talking to Paul. I was mentioning how how much I like a lot of these changes. I didn't go into like the card stuff, but I like Trigun. I like Cowboy Bebop. We got talking about the fact that no one mentioned the 25th anniversary, and then he just left me one little thing, a nice little ominous message of the best is yet to come. So there is more coming to do
Yeah.
along these lines, and as like you're saying, challenges have been announced. I would be surprised if we don't see booster boxes of these guys coming back out.
No, I don't think we necessarily see booster boxes of these, right? And also, you need to think about it almost at a corporate level, right? This is a nice little tester product. What's the market for these animes and this sort of a product? So think
Trigun, I can understand on. Cowboy Bebop is an established franchise in Universus.
it
If
is,
it's a
but we're in new worlds now. We're in new time periods where it's new audiences. It's an older product.
I,
Do people care about Cowboy Bebop anymore? Let's find out. So I think these are a great move from a business standpoint, just to test the waters without spending their big guns. Like,
my
because they will have negotiations ongoing currently with whatever
yeah,
IPs they want to bring in. Like if they want to bring in Street Fighter Six
that's what I was gonna bring up.
is going to be like a conversation they're having in the background, and they won't necessarily want to burn these relationships on these smaller products. Like Street Fighter Six will be a big box product because they can probably be more confident about how well received it is, right? Or whoever, or like the big one, and my boy would go absolutely wild would be Demon Slayer because that's his jam at the moment.
Mm.
Or like a Naruto. Again, people would go wild for Naruto. Like if they've got one of those two big anime guns, like they're not going to waste those on these sort of products. But again, they're not going to announce them for now.
So the big
So
issue is Union Arena, which isn't as big in the West, but does hold a card game license for Demon Slayer. Bleach is a big one that I think they could get a hold of, but
yeah,
it leads to the point I was going to bring up. Are we just an anime card game now?
we don't know.
Because
We don't.
my other big prediction was Street Fighter Six was going to get a set because
I don't think that's a terrible move.
no,
I know people like the idea of these Street Fighter stuff. They're not that popular. The sort of Venn diagram of people who give a shit about Street Fighter and the Venn diagram of people who give a shit about trading card games doesn't necessarily overlap
no.
very well. The Venn diagram of people who give a shit about anime and people who give a shit about nerdy card games, there's quite a lot of overlap there.
But
So
I can understand, but it's a case of how far out can you go before you start to drop off the My Hero Academia core? Like, if you made an Invincible set, would you still retain? Because Invincible is a very good one that they could work with. You could go further into Jupiter's Legacy, which is a very underknown superhero series. You could then go, but then you could also go.
yeah, but you've just highlighted the main reason why they're doing it. You said underknown. Like
Yeah,
again, look at it from a business perspective. They don't care about necessarily how good the anime actually is. They care about do people like the anime, right?
then you need to be picking up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yeah, again, I like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Naruto or
The main
Bleach
the
or Demon Slayer, like these big guns that everyone knows and everyone likes. That's going to bring the bums on seats and beat the button by getting them
But
buying
then you've got the issue of Vice Forts, Union Arena. I mean, Naruto had
yeah, I'm not saying these are necessarily
yeah.
easy questions to answer, but those are the paths they need to necessarily go.
As I say, from a business point of view, these are the ones to go for. But they've been done before. Naruto had a card game. Fullmetal Alchemist had a card game. Union Arena has tried is trying to do it as well. Vice Forts has, with some success, done it. They've even got Record of Ragnarok, which I didn't know about because I was pushing for Record of Ragnarok to get a card game in this. There is so much good potential for IPs for Nicholas Reagan's card designing competition. I made a Kuroko no Basket. That's a sports anime, but it so well jams into how Universus works that you can adapt pretty much any anime, any show, and walk away with a very playable game. And that's part of
Yeah,
why I love this game so much because it's so
it just
versatile.
depends what direction DePaul and Rohan want to go.
Yeah.
Right, they're the ones calling the shots. Then it depends what they think people are going to buy, what they're going to like, and also then what they can negotiate with the IP owners. Like those are the three
Yeah.
things, right? Again, those are three conversations we are never going to know or never going to be a
No.
part of until they say, "Hey, we're doing Bleach next," or "Hey, we're doing
It's one
Bleach
of those
next."
that we get to wildly speculate about because,
Oh yeah, we can already speculate. That's
yeah,
totally
hell
fine.
yeah.
But it's just like,
But it's whether we are an anime only card game or whether we will see Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Because Mortal Kombat's got more movies coming if the strike ever lets up. So there are more directions to
yeah.
go.
So
But
like again, it's like they've again, they've obviously gone a lot with this thing as they want to honor their legacy and they want to move forward, and part of that might be bringing a bit back some of those fighting games, but it's whether they do them in the format of these little ancillary sets like these challenger decks, or they're going to do them, and they could do things like almost like a collector box of almost like it's like thinking something like similar to like a class reunion, right?
mm,
um, but maybe like a bigger product of like here's a 50 card uh like Mortal Kombat set. So there's you buy a collector box of Mortal Kombat and there's 50 individual cards, 1 to 50 in a box. If you want a play set, you need to buy 4 of them. Something along those lines, right? Or they've got these opportunities for maybe smaller ancillary products they could do with them. And I think these challenger decks with these smaller IPs, they won't probably be as beholden to that they can just sort of test the waters for. I think that's sort of my feeling I'm getting from
it's
this.
really weird to hear Cowboy Bebop described as a smaller IP when its fan base probably is bigger than My Hero Academia's. It's just less.
Is it?
It's
I
just
don't really
older.
know. I'm assuming it is.
So Cowboy Bebop came out in 1998. It got so it's an older anime. I know this information
Hey,
because
checked out.
I'm an Outlaw Star fan. Came out the same year, same concept, Space Cowboys. But Cowboy Bebop fans ruined Cowboy Bebop for me by just constantly saying that it was better than my favorite show.
Mhm.
But thanks to this information, I'm now more willing to give Cowboy Bebop a try. But you're talking 25 years of fan base picking up people introducing it. They're now a lot older, introducing it to their kids. Cowboy Bebop's fan base is a lot more hardcore than My Hero Academia's fan base, which will once the show's over probably just latch onto something else. But yeah, I think, and if they just got open to IPs, I've got a massive list of like my 20 years of watching anime that can give them loads of IPs, which would be absolutely amazing for these games that have underground cult followings.
Mhm.
But yeah, Cowboy Bebop's fan base is a lot bigger and a lot more hardcore than My Hero Academia. These are old anime fans. These are the guys that gatekeep anime that you're talking
Okay.
about. So
Yeah. Again, it's not necessarily my world, so I don't
no.
really know. Um, so does that cover pretty much everything? I mean,
Uh,
there's a few, I guess, the minor details about Project Burn. So it's going to be released in winter. We've got Chrome's coming back.
we
All of the, and
got no
also, I
crumbs.
think the overarch there from those is the good decisions they made for Set 5. They're continuing those good decisions. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Um,
I did like the breakdown of why they made these decisions, where it's all come
yeah.
from. Uh,
Again,
while we're going over I'll wrap up. I'm just gonna stick up my favorite thing from their video. I do apologize to Paul. When we were talking. I spent so long talking about Lohan's Spike cosplay. I didn't realize he was dressed in Vash colors. He just needs to
mhm.
go out and get a Vash cosplay. But Lohan rocked this cosplay. He as soon as I saw it, I immediately knew he was dressed like Spike. He immediately had it looking good.
I didn't get that at all from
But
watching the video.
you didn't know the anime,
No.
so but
Um,
yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
so, like, I guess closing thoughts from me, right? Overall, I think the direction of what the company are trying to do, like the rebranding and stuff, I don't really give a shit about. Like in
no.
terms of like the over, like they call UVS, like fine, whatever. I think the directions and the decisions, a lot of them they're making are really positive in terms of like and again, I've said this before. I think a lot of like the way they're going with the the products they're producing and the way they're dealing with the promo side of it, and they're obviously moving even further into alternate arts. So it's all good, and I think they're doing this with their heart in the right place. That's my impression,
Yeah.
which is really weird to say for a corporation, effectively, or a company. But I do think it feels like Lohan and Paul do care, and they are trying to do the right thing. I just think they've made some missteps in terms of the art direction, decisions they've made from that perspective. And it almost makes me wonder if they've basically been sold snake oil by a bloody graphic design company and a branding company, right? And they've just kind of taken their word for it when they don't really know a shit about the industry they're talking about. And I wonder how much of it was internal design and internal decision making compared to going to like a branding, marketing, graphic design company to help them with this stuff. Because I'm guessing they brought outside resources to help with this. And they've said, yeah, you need to do this and make that nice and clean. And they've just sold them a load of bullshit. And that's what they've gone with, when actually these people that they've brought in don't know anything about the industry they're talking about. Specifically like the card back and how that's going to impact newer players, and like the symbol thing. And again, it's just losing that consistency for the sake of change. And I don't think that benefits the change of branding. Again, that's to me.
No, it's fair. My final thoughts. I'm gonna go with something I would have liked to have seen differently done, and I'm gonna end mine with a very positive note about the opposite way you did it, starting off positive, going ending with the card backs. Yeah, they're not great for the newer players. Personally, I really don't care. I don't look at them that much. I honestly, I barely remember what the actual cards look like on the backs, but I would have liked to seen our cards stay the same, and to bring it back to Union Arena again, all of their cards for each IP have a different design but the same back, and I think that would have been cool for us. So if Cowboy Bebop had the design that's being displayed for Hawks and Hawks' Feather, if Trigun Stampede had, if the cards were designed differently to sort of encompass the universe they're in, would have been cool, and the consistency was the back.
That'd be really cool. They could have used these competitor decks, challenger decks, to test the market as to how they feel about these new card designs of card backs.
I imagine
they keep My Hero the same format, but actually we're going to do these in a slightly different format with a slightly different back. How do you feel about it?
I imagine something this big, it's been in the works before they even started the negotiations for Cowboy Bebop and stuff. This rebrand's probably been in the works for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would just like to see our cards stay as they are, and this new design come in. So when you play a card, you can immediately tell what franchise, what IP it's from, by the way the card's designed, similar to Union Arena. But I know that you're going to be mixing and matching cards a lot, so you'd want them all to be in there. But I'll end my final thoughts on. There's been a phrase that stuck with me my entire life, which is, if you are passionate about something, that passion trickles down, and the people listening to you, seeing you, interacting with you, will feel that passion from you. And when I first started this game, when I was talking with Jaska, because this is a game where we get to talk with the people that work at the company on a daily basis. When I was talking with other players, the thing that got me into this game was the community, and how it was My Hero Academia that drew me in. It was the community that kept me in, and how passionate and how much love they had for this game. And over the last 2 years, that has gone down. And as Richard loves to say, Discord is a hive of. I can't remember the Star Wars quote.
It's a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah, that's what Discord has kind of boiled down into.
Not that bad, but maybe a few.
Yeah, there's a lot of complaining in there, but the reason
in a way that's good, right? Yeah. Because the worst thing you could possibly have is indifference. Indifference is the worst.
But going back, the reason I like this screenshot, and the reason why I think the meme I made of it hits so different, and the reason why this video is so good, is we can feel Paul and Lohan's dedication to this game, to the franchise, to the history. We actually got to see their history with the game. We got to see how much passion, how much love they have for this game, and I felt that through this video. We're having interactions with Lenoco, with Jelly, with Matt Gideon, and listening to how excited they are and how much they're loving what's coming makes me more excited, and actually feeling this kind of renewed passion and drive for the game from the employees, and hopefully it will trickle down into the community. But I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling very disenfranchised this year with MHA. It kind of felt like every game was the same, and my passion was going down, and I've been completely renewed from this. I even said to my partner, if new IPs come out, I don't know how long I'll stay with the game if MHA stops. But seeing the passion that they're putting into this, and yes, maybe the refit wasn't the best thing they could have done, but actually seeing them putting their heart and their history into why they're going after these IPs, why they're making these decisions, why they're going, and people following their heart make dumb decisions, but they're doing it with the best intentions.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think that there's anything negative at play here, right? That they're obviously doing what they think is the best for everyone. They think it's best for the company. Think it's best for players. They're trying to make good decisions based on what information they have, and it's just. And again, I'm obviously only giving my opinions, right?
Oh yeah.
And like everyone's got an opinion, everyone's got an arsehole, right? And mine could be just a bunch of shit. Like, my opinion could be completely wrong, and actually new players love the new thing, and they much prefer it to the others doing, and it actually gets loads of new players on board because they love the new graphics, and it's not a problem at all, and I could be completely wrong. But it's just like, that was my initial takes and feelings.
Yeah, it's so unlike. Well,
and I hope I am wrong, right? I hope I am wrong. So
the people at Jasco, people in the community will know, I am one of the first people to call Jasco out if they're doing something I don't like. I will publicly rant and make memes and have a go, especially with what's happened with Cowboy Bebop, because we haven't actually touched on that, which is that it's not going to be available outside of North and South America for the foreseeable future. We've got to see
that again. We don't know for certain.
We can't go into who or why that is, but it's a case of Lenoco did kind of warn me that there was going to be something in there that would set me, but surprisingly, I can understand. It's more we kind of got used to delays, and hopefully we'll have a TBD by the time it comes out. But I'm kind of we'll get into after, but yeah.
But yeah, like, again, we don't know. Again, it might be one of those situations where they don't know the information themselves. They're not going to say anything until they know for certain. It might be a licensing thing. It might be a case of, like, they can't say anything because of, they can't release it because of the license owner, or they're still in negotiations with them. We don't really know.
Yeah, no, we don't know what's gone into there, but it's not like with Class Reunion. It's not like, and I think it's because they've been upfront with it right away, and that's the big thing. Yeah, that's the big for me, is the fact that Universus have been upfront with it right away. It's a case of, unfortunately, it may not get to international markets at the same time. We're working on it, and that to me is just enough. That is enough for me, rather than what we've had in the past of, oh yeah, it's coming on this date, and then a couple of days before we'll get an email or a post going, unfortunately, due to delays, it's not going to get there. We have been told well in advance, you're not going to get it on time. We're working on it, and that to me that is such a breath of fresh air compared to how we've been dealt with in the past.
And to be fair, a lot of those distribution issues have just been Asmodee, right? So I think we have rambled on.
Yeah, I think that's
quite a long old time. But we did obviously have a big old news dump.
Yeah, we've gone through. I mean, this has been shorter than the draft, and we've gone through probably about the same amount of information.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna check. We have gone through everything. Challenger, Dragon.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, that's all the important hits, right? That's all the important information. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's stuff we've missed, but if there's anything anyone's not sure about, like Levi's got a video on it. David Toombs, who's YouTube name I can't remember, he's got a video on it. There's obviously just go check out the Jasco website, check out the main Discord.
Check
Like,
out
all of these things.
One of the best things you can do for this game is support the content creators. Yes, go out and buy packets and stuff like that, but support your content creators. You've got the Unfun webcam events on Fridays. You've got Tam's community nights on Tuesdays. You've got
most importantly
Mondays.
Patriot and Sean Patriot Games running the Patriot webcam Tuesdays for European UK, but obviously anyone else over the world is welcome to join, which are really cool. We're regularly getting 8 to 10 players, so that's a lot of fun.
But if you're in the main Discord, check out the content creator, the MHA content channel, which is probably going to be changed to Universus content, if it hasn't already, because there's a lot of great content out there, and the more people watch it, the more the algorithm will suggest it, and the more new players will come across it as well. I think we'll move over to the end screen. The biggest thing is there's no RLE this weekend. What are we going to talk about?
No idea. We'll have to work that out for next time. But obviously, everyone on Twitch, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for chatting along with us. Those watching on YouTube, press all the things, do the algorithms, make a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps get all the stuff out to everyone. So, we'll catch you all soon.
Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you when we're next doing. Goodbye.